can sometimes feel like a lot, but you don't have to do it alone. I strongly believe that we're stronger together. Here, we're going to slow down, have real talks, make sense of things together, and explore ways to intentionally grow the life you want. We're going to talk about mental and physical health, relationships, money, work, and community. Welcome to Rooted in Intention with me, Karina Gomez. Hi, welcome to another episode. Thank you for joining me. And for this particular episode, I was actually inspired by a conversation that I was having with someone about relationship coaching. And the person asked a question that I thought just went a lot deeper than the words that were said at the surface. So the person asked me whether a woman should pressure her man to commit. And at face value, this seems like it might be about gender roles, but I think if you dive a bit deeper into this, we can actually peel back the layers to get a better sense of what's going on, especially with what I know now about attachment science. So, I want to share some insights from an attachment theory perspective to help you gain clarity if maybe you've thought of this question for yourself, or if you have at some point felt pressure to commit or marry someone and unclear of how to make sense of that experience. So, in case you didn't know, I recently completed a certification about integrated attachment theory, through which I learned how our early upbringing, particularly from the ages of 0 to 8, create these blueprints for how we see ourselves and how we see others. And these blueprints live in our subconscious mind and they influence our internal monologue, our emotional and behavioral patterns. And there's these four blueprints or attachment styles, which include the secure attachment style, anxious, preoccupied attachment, dismissive, avoidant attachment, and fearful avoidant, also known as disorganized attachment. And if you want a more thorough breakdown of the four attachment styles, go listen to episode 9 where I break them down. But essentially, if you keep having similar issues in your relationships, we can use attachment theory to better understand what can actually be going on. And the great thing about the mind is that it is capable of changing at any time and at any age. And neuroscience confirms this and actually calls it neuroplasticity, which is our mind's ability to be molded like plastic. So, one of the things that really stood out to me from this question is the person I was talking to, it seemed like he was really experiencing this sense of pressure. And that's what really cued to me that there could be something more because pressure doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong. Pressure is a feeling, and like all feelings and emotions that we get, they are there as a signal and they're trying to tell us something. And it's all about tuning in and asking the right questions to better understand what's behind it, what is creating that feeling and those emotions. Because also, what we know within psychology and within neuroscience, our feelings are coming from our thoughts and subconscious beliefs. So we have to be able to work backwards in order to understand what those signals, what those feelings are telling us. Now, what's actually going to be personalized is what is creating that feeling of pressure for you if it's something that you're experiencing. And I want to offer some questions for you to consider to better understand what's behind it. Okay, so first things first, the way that I would approach diving into this for yourself is asking yourself, what is it that you want within a partner, within a relationship? Because if you don't know what it is that you want, it's going to actually be hard to know if you have what you're wanting right in front of you and if it's actually something else that's getting in the way of moving that relationship forward. And if you haven't deeply thought about this for yourself, one exercise that you can do is literally take out a piece of paper and spend some time reflecting about what are some of those things that you absolutely need. What are some of those things that would be nice to have, but that you can live without? Identify what are your non negotiables and what are some things that you will absolutely not take from a partner or within a relationship. Because once you have clarity about the things that are really important to you, that's going to make it a lot easier in deciding whether you're compatible with someone or not. And then once you know this, you can actually check in. Are you feeling that pressure to commit to this person or marry this person because there's an actual lack of compatibility? And that feeling of pressure is actually indicating to you that this isn't a right fit and that it might be time to have that discussion with this person about the things that you are wanting within a relationship and seeing if there is actually the opportunity for the other person to make any changes and meet you more of where you are wanting to be. Because communication is going to be so important because something that you might think is like, oh, this is a sign that we're incompatible. If you don't have that conversation with someone, you aren't going to know if they're going to be willing or able to make a change related to the issue that you bring up. So, say maybe you want kids and your partner has expressed that they don't want kids. And given previous conversations, you actually feel disconnected from your partner, and that feels like something that you aren't compatible with. But maybe your partner has had a change of heart since the last conversation that you guys had around kids. So it's going to be important for you to know, you know what, this is actually an important part of what I'm wanting within a partner is being able to have a family and then being able to have that conversation with your partner around like, hey, I've come to the realization that this is actually an important point for me. And I know we've talked about this, but I would like to revisit this conversation. How are you feeling about having kids and starting a family now? And then once you've been able to have that conversation, that's obviously going to give you feedback about the true sense of compatibility between you and the person that you're dating or that you're in a relationship with. So, the second thing that could be behind you feeling pressure to commit to someone is that you might actually be feeling a disconnect because your needs are not getting met within the relationship. And needs is one of those things that don't worry if you haven't necessarily thought about your needs. This is actually something that I learned just within the past few years. So think of these needs as the water and the oxygen that your physical body needs, but in terms of your emotional life. So is it that you're actually needing more quality time from your partner, but it isn't something that you guys have necessarily been practicing? Are you needing more reassurance? Are you needing your partner to verbally tell you that they love you more regularly? Are you needing more physical intimacy with your partner? And the thing is, if your needs are not being met, you're going to feel that disconnection with your partner, which could fuel that sense of this isn't the right person for me and why you could be feeling pressure within the relationship. And the thing about this is, once you are able to know your needs and know that something's missing, then you are actually able to ask your partner to help you fulfill those needs or fulfill those needs for yourself. And that's going to close that gap and create more connection with your partner. And you're going to feel more fulfilled. And if that's what's causing that disconnect, it's going to close that emotional gap that you're feeling. And I imagine at that point, once you're able to address that, then that's going to relieve that sense that something is off within the relationship. And it's going to address that feeling of pressure. So that's why taking your needs into account and familiarizing yourself with them is something that is super important. So at this point, if you have had that clarity with yourself and find that you genuinely feel compatible with your partner and you feel like your needs are being met within your relationship, you generally feel satisfied and fulfilled, but there's something tugging at you that makes it difficult to want to commit or move the relationship forward and you just can't quite understand what's going on, I'd be inclined to believe that there could be a subconscious belief for what is making commitment difficult. And the thing about the subconscious mind is that many of our core beliefs are developed during childhood. And some of these core beliefs, unfortunately, are limiting beliefs, and they actually cause us to fear vulnerability and closeness. And it might not be something that you're actively thinking, I fear being vulnerable or I feel closeness, but it's more at a subconscious level that's influencing your internal monologue and your sense of safety with vulnerability and closeness. So if you're feeling like this might be it, it's not your fault again. This is really how your brain was programmed largely during childhood, although you could have also adopted some core beliefs from difficult relationships or toxic situations in adulthood. So, I also have a podcast episode where I dive more into the subconscious mind. So, if this is something that you want to dive a bit more into, go check out that podcast episode. But in summary, our subconscious mind was largely programmed during childhood, and the ripple effect of how those subconscious beliefs end up playing out is that the subconscious mind ends up creating the thoughts, your internal monologue, and the stories and meaning that you attach to your present moment. And those thoughts and stories end up creating your feelings and emotions to things, which then end up influencing your actions or how you end up showing up. So, if you have something like a core belief of, I cannot trust people, that core belief is going to create thoughts like, oh, my partner, they're going to end up betraying me anyways. I don't need them. I can't believe they took advantage of me. They will probably just end up leaving me anyways. I can't trust them. Or what if they do cheat on me? I can't rely on them. And with these thoughts and stories playing out in the background, as you can imagine, that's going to create that sense of discomfort within your body. And it's going to register it as something is going wrong and something's going to feel off about the relationship. So it's going to feel uncomfortable thinking about committing further. And that could be contributing to that sense of feeling pressured within the relationship. And it's because something could be registered as deeply uncomfortable within your body with having that level of vulnerability and closeness with another person. Another core belief that could exist is something like, I am trapped or I am stuck. And it's one of those things that then again, you continue to have thoughts that support that core belief. So then you're going to have some of those thoughts running on the back end of like, oh, he, she is pressuring me, or I don't have a choice in this, which is then going to create again that sense and that feeling of pressure. And the way that you start really unraveling those core beliefs that are really more limiting beliefs, if they're holding you back, is you can start questioning those stories. Because if you're thinking, oh, they're pressuring me and I don't have a choice in this, question that. Do you actually not have a choice in this? Do you not have a say? In what ways do you actually have a choice? In what ways do you actually have the power to make decisions for yourself? And questioning those stories is one of those ways that you can start breaking down those core beliefs. And there's an array of tools and different modalities, including therapy, through which you can really start breaking these core beliefs down and creating new beliefs that actually allow you to create and have satisfying and fulfilling relationships. So, again, to just really summarize the things to take into account if you are feeling that sense of pressure to commit or take the relationship to the next level, is one, get really clear about what it is that you want. within a partner, within a relationship. Because if you have clarity around that, then it's going to be very apparent if the person that you are dating, that you're in a relationship with, if they are or they are not compatible with the things that you're absolutely wanting and needing within a relationship. Number two, get to know what it is that you're actually needing, particularly those emotional needs that you can bring to your partner and talk more about. If you are wanting to spend more time together, if you are needing some verbal reassurance from them, if you are needing more physical intimacy from them, those are very real needs and they're things that can be resolved and fulfilled if you have a direct conversation with your partner, but only if it is that you know what it is that you're needing. So be mindful of that. And if you've gone through those two steps and you're still feeling that sense of pressure, that's when you can dive into that third layer and really start thinking about the stories and the patterns that you have within your relationships. Is that feeling of pressure something that you have experienced with multiple partners and you feel like you generally have difficulty committing to people, difficulty committing to things? Because that's going to clue you in that there might be something within your subconscious belief system that might need some disentangling and some rewiring. And if you want to dive deeper into this and explore whether relationship coaching can help you, feel free to set up a free consultation call using the link in the show notes. And we can dive more into what's coming up for you and how we can work together. And if you haven't already done so, I also ask that you leave a review and share the episode with a friend to help the podcast reach more people and get the insights that they might have not known that they needed. Okay, that's it. Bye. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Rooted in Intention. Until next time, and remember to keep showing up for the life, relationships, and community you want. Now go, grow the life you want from the roots up.